Important note, watch out, this is a long one. Fiancée cheated, pregnant the month after, I found out so much in the aftermath. Thoughts, doubts and tension are staying with me. Seeking advice on how to proceed. Feedback, comments and enlightenments are welcome too. Background would fill pages. Just in short, we have been LD, but LDR with plans and called daily and messaged intensively, 50 messages a day, mostly much more. About all 2 months we would stay together for some 2 to 3 weeks. LD over borders, we are from different countries and cultures with a few thousand kilometers apart. So we stayed together again, she picked me up at the airport. Happy time being together, going out, solving things, buying stuff, meeting friends, all. We had sex again but this time it felt different. Small details, looks, words, hand/hand play. And a detail here and there raised my suspicions. We had many memorable moments together. Later some more details. Let me jump to her confession. I flew off into the distance again. 5 weeks in the pregnancy and at another anger eruption I had finally the balls to chat reply and trigger her with one specific, but fuzzy clue from my collection of all my gut feelings and semi-evidence. A visual trigger added, harmless to look at, but an overwhelming trigger for a caught liar. It was a hit in the mark. Bullseye. She got silent, stunned, like collapsing. Only a few words she replied admitting. It was clear the game was over. House of Lies was collapsing. And finally it was getting off my chest. I arranged with a colleague about I assumptional wouldn't be able to work much that day. What followed was a 3-hour call with her. She repeated from the last lines of our chat. My tears are dry. You can tell everything now. What followed was her confession, who she effed, when they met first, at how many times they met during that month, the month before I arrived, that they did not use protections. Oh. She excused, but he said he would come outside, no comment needed, right? Either way, years earlier she gave me STI from another fling, that time we haven't been that close or committed. She had 4 affairs I know of and never used a protection or so. That time we had STI, I had been on her side, opened and educated her about it and where from, took the walk of blame to get the medication and supplied it to her too. That time she couldn't conceive for several months for the same reason. However, some very small inaccuracies were included, date of their first cheat date. And when asked about her ex, another fling or ex who was current a year ago, she denied having seen him. I suspected she and him met on a New Year's Eve party. Social media is a tramp, both posted from the same location and the photos have been taken from the same angle of the site, no coincidence, you were not there by coincidence. Well, he was clever to use a story photo only visible for 24 hours. Coincidence filled the gap. All of my gut feelings perceived through my senses were right. One sentence out of the mindset of a cheater, but he's not a good person, he only wanted to F. Still a caught cheater tries to push it to others. I didn't reply to that, not worth it. One more? I didn't want to meet him again. But he came to my room days later again, without invitation. Without appointment, what a naughty boy. Guess who first opened the door and then the legs? One final more? We only make love, then it would be okay or what was that for? Heard it, noted it but not a word replied from me. No protection, I told him, no, my husband will be coming and again they met. But lover/AP, always said to me, don't need to worry, about whatever consequences, getting busted, risk of our breakup, also when he attempted to meet again after I left. She worried that I would leave her and we would break up. I listened mostly calmly to her confession and just asked very small questions. But on this one I couldn't hold it and replied very calmly and non-offensive, you don't need to worry about me leaving you. I left you already the day you escorted me to the airport. So they had sex in our room, on our bed, on the same bedsheet, our studio photo of us arranged together was next to the bed. She ordered a surprise gift for me in his presence. She and him ate from the plates we had hand-selected shopped. He saw a tattoo on her bare body dedicated to our future children. We did that tattoo 3 months prior as a commitment to our relationship. She demanded to get that tattoo, mostly spontaneous while passing a studio. I negotiated it down a bit for size being more discreet and a shorter inscription yes, text. What could I do? What could I have done? What should I do? Well, we have been engaged but all that went down the hill, ruined and tainted during and due to her cheating. It is and was not in my control. Her choice. And her actions and consequences are up to her. Right? And the distance was another barrier, still not sure if for good or worse. I had horrible and thoughtful days and nights, being non-concentrated at work. Felt good about some lies got out of the secret, but felt bitter and bad about our relationship falling apart and one dream vanishing after the other. We kept in contact, it felt bizarre and strange. Less messages and calls. I couldn't say I love you anymore to her, avoided the usual confessions. Her tensions rising, I could again feel her inner tension, either because of her inner conflict, who's the father, how to continue, or due to her unghosting the other man again. My gut feeling told me, this time I was listening and trusting my gut feeling better. Her strange behavior had the same pattern as during the ongoing month. She told him the day before I arrived to forget her like he never knew her, then blocked and deleted evidence. 10 days later in the limbo of fog and status quo, There was a morning surprise, and what followed shortly after was another new anger eruption, swearings at me. It came clear to me that there is no future for both of us. Just toxic, tainted, lies, doubt, tension, no trust, no faith, no hope, possibly new betrayal and lies. That morning she changed a profile photo. Half the way clever, it was not showing her with that other male together, but a photo he took of her on the day they met first. That way she could show it openly to everyone and to me and to her pleased lover, because the photo itself looks good, normal and innocent. Looks can be deceiving. Later someone enlightened me about her previous profile photos, same pattern, giving me the names matching each of her profile and story photos in a way like playing concentration, the memory card game where you find a matching pair. I traveled back in time and discovered some unseen posts by her, some that have been visible for only a few hours, and the time she changed her relationship status from engaged to single. Kicking my own crap, what I have missed, so obviously, some things so openly. I had help, someone as a translator. That someone is way more active on social media and took screenshots at the time of the posts because that someone found it strange. The bottom was, today I am not going to sleep alone. Together with a photo of her dressed nicely just before going out on the date with him. It was visible only quite short, an hour or two. What's happening in the mind of someone posting such an announcement to cheat? Who was that addressed to? Anticipation for the lover on what to expect when they meet later on that day? Thrill of announcing it public? I learned about this announcement in hindsight. At the original time of that post I was sleeping. Still risky. At that time I was very emotional, mixed, and many thoughts went through my mind. Thinking ways, thinking possibilities, almost couldn't work. Consulted/spoke with a close friend about it, overthinking and overthinking again. I found no good ending, no good outcome, no good way. Just that an end is necessary for that toxic relationship, an end for being sold for stupid, an end for being taken for a ride, an end to lies, an end to history keeps repeating, an end to our misery. And an end to my illusion about we have a committed exclusive relationship, and an end to our future would be a family with her. A fight is going on inside me. Google it with quotes for another insight. How to end. I skipped most ideas floating in my mind about how to put an end. How to cause least pain, how to not be mean. Short time and long time outcome. How to put her/them not to life danger. She twice threatened to jump as an escape, or was it her call for attention in case of borderline? Why ghosting? No additional hurt, no extra argument, no more conflict. It will hurt us both enough anyway. My intention was avoidance, to avoid that awkward situation, avoid losing faces, avoid us screaming, avoid new lies, avoid her apologizing with no chance for forgiveness. Avoid new promises to be broken again, avoid her begging, and avoid me needing to hear all this again. Heard that before. She didn't keep promises before. I needed an end to both her plus my tensions and her toxicity. And I wanted to protect myself from being hurt that deep again. On confession day, I thought and expected the end to our relationship, but somehow it was not really over and transferred into a daily routine. Wake up to myself, our relationship was over long ago. I also wanted to avoid the small risk of me getting soft. Avoiding history repeating. One time in the past, in a broad similar situation where she did something contra-relationshiptional and I wanted to break up, she slapped herself several times as a self-punishment while begging to forgive her. And another time she bite herself to underscore her promises for her virtue and honesty. I also didn't want to risk her jumping to death after a full rejection. Who's ghost first? In the past she once threatened to ghost me, block, delete and change her number, etc. Even to move so you will not find me. I remember all the details. She barked very late that night, in addition to our usual good night call. During that day there has not been much up to argue about, but it erupted from her. It sounded like an announcement in 2 weeks, her future plan. That was 2 weeks before she started her affair and met her lover. The day following that announcement I was not answering her for half the day. She played down what she said, apologizing, emphasizing how much she loves me and how much our relationship values her. Made me think. That time I forgave. I selected to ghost, avoiding discussions, worthless, avoiding confrontation with tears, avoiding new lies. By the way, one of her confessions was I am a liar. I set a fixed day some days in the future to pull out the plug. Time to become aware which plugs are there, all those social media connections, messengers, mutual friends, phone numbers, office. I read many threads about surviving infidelity, about breakups, about revenge, learning from others' experiences, trying at least. I realized nobody and no guide would take it from my shoulders. More doubt, more overthinking. Trying to think ahead into the far future. Revenge? Well, I thought about it a lot. I had the feeling for it. I hate both of them for what they did. I read a lot about revenge and payback, also about the experience others have had. And their outcome. Short time, feels good to revenge. Long time, mostly not worth it, and many have had a little evil eating them. And that then mutual friends, family and karma might look down on me because of the revenge I did. Still thoughts are circling from time to time about dropping a line or a fist to that AP. He actively took part in the actions that turned the lives of 3 to 4 people into unknown worse. Suggestions are welcome. Reputative revenge? I thought about revealing to her best friend and her sister about her infidelity and lies and everything so they wouldn't think bad of me and I keep a good reputation. Revenge would have made me feel good for a moment because I was right and she was wrong, and opening the book of shame and blame. But they are her friends and family, they would either be her side or blame her for her actions from all sides plus gossip. No win scenario. They wouldn't be part of my future anyway. To myself, let it go, so I decided to let it go, let her go and continue her life and tell her friends, relatives, family and the other guy, lover, AP, whatever story she wants or is most comfortable for her. Her future? A view to the other side, how would she and her life continue? I don't know, and it was not my business and out of my control anyway. However, whatever I give in or say to her might take effect in the far future. Her future. Their future. She would defend and justify her actions or change the story so she would have more tension about it, and the new lies she would tell them. So, whatever, give her a bit more freedom to tell them whatever she wants, whatever makes her comfortable, whatever is good for her future or the next guy. Would it hurt me? First I thought, yes, because of my reputation and gossip. But then I settled with, no, it would not hurt me, so let her create her own reality and I don't mix in there, but also, I would not be available to blame me on anything anymore. Her actions, her consequences. You reap what you sow. Except a big but, what if? If I am the father and that little new person comes of age and asks questions about who is father, where, why not there and what else happened? My thoughts are still hurting me on this, ongoing. But the answer is similar like before, her and their way, life would be complicated enough, no input from me and thus no consideration needed. They will have a story ready and children eat it as it is. Until maybe in the far future, I am not prepared for that case, someone in 15 or 20 or 25 years knocks my door and says hi, and maybe confronts me about whatever version of the story in history. Cannot control that too. I might have years to prepare for that, and years of headache about. End thoughts. I realized I don't want revenge, put nothing bitter nor angry. Last best wishes have been said and written already on previous escalations, like heartily goodbye and thanks for knowing you and all the good time we spent together. Wishing you well and take care. Last time on that 10-day. I didn't feel to repeat it like that another time. On previous occasions, every few months, she texted me goodbye forever this time for real, but they weren't actually an end and usually minutes to hours later she calmed down and apologized lovely. The end, or becoming a ghost. The last afternoon came, the last time I sent out nice and amicable words on the phone call. With a lump in my throat because I knew it was the end. I was tempted to say something else, maybe something important or something lasting or something meaningful. I resisted. It hurt. Later and late last messages, sending out good night and sweet dreams. Take care. See you in dreamland while I was driving. She should have slept already, didn't reply before. I wanted the last words to be friendly words. But then, another torrent of egocentric messages mixed with anger arrived, barking to me about. Pushing on me by questioning about. I will skip it, nothing factual, nothing fundamental. I just replied, whatever I tried to message, to call, to do. It can't please you. As I was driving, which I've told her, I didn't reply her much. Later I read it. One of her lines was like you think this baby is not your baby. Okay, never come back to me. One day this is really your baby, I will have left you already and all this came out of nowhere. Not a topic or doubt from my lips. Only once, on that day of her confession, when I asked her do you know who is the daddy? Her answer was I don't know. Sorry and the confession started. This did not go and end like planned. I said bye and thanks before. Several times. Friendly and honest. So no need to repeat it again. I couldn't really eat nor sleep. In the early morning I went on autopilot to block, disable, deactivate. She noticed my early morning activities, my changed profile photo, barked 2 or 3 lines of derogatory remarks, then that channel was blocked too. Silence. So silent. For some days, honestly rather more. I was a wreck and empty and tempted to plug in again. I resisted knowing the outcome and it couldn't be good and just get worse. Over the next days there were more than 200 calls blocked. Stupid phone, if I block someone, do you really need to still tell me how many times Mrs. Block called? So, chances are 50-50 the baby is mine. On the other hand, on my arrival day I remember her breasts felt somehow different in my hands and I couldn't figure out what it was. Was it her not being able to stay committed to our relationship? I mean, we had plans and dreams about lifelong together, family, kids and had a list of names for them already. Was it about appetite for another affair? One not enough? Thrill of falling in new love again? Kink of some kind? Was it about LD/LDR, not being available and around all the time? I know LDR is complicated, I've been on the other side of it. But we stayed so close all the time, daily several calls, short and long ones, messages and sending each other selfies and pics of our daily lives. More details are following, not really chronologically, her side for good. I have been by her side, showed much patience and empathy towards her, and supported her emotionally. On every problem that shaked her, work, family, life. Even when morning sickness kicked in and so on. I don't want to sound arrogant, but it's likely that there will only be 2 such men in her whole life with that kind of unconditional love. The second, her father. But on this one, I can't anymore. I can't again. I won't. Doormat no more. Roller coaster of cheating. During that month before my arrival she wrote to me, twice? Thrice? Out of nothing she doesn't want me anymore and I shouldn't wait for her at the airport upon my arrival, just to forgive hours or next morning and reverse it adding love declarations. Well. That time my flight was booked anyway, so if she wouldn't show up, I would be sure about it all and move on. It was hurting me to hear it and prepare my mindset with a thick skin to whatever the future will bring. Good to be prepared, but it hurt so much. It did hurt to feel our committed serious relationship has a serious problem. By that time her relationship status has changed from engaged to single already, as reconstructed in retrospect. I didn't invite her to the airport and she knew my arrival already. Let's wait and see. Background of her writing to cancel would have been of them being together. An example, after orgasm felt good, so they would triumph with their plans for their future and write to me and declare a breakup with me. Well. My gut feeling was telling me, because of her changed syntax, that some messages to me have been composed by him or by them together. It didn't match and as we messaged a lot, well, you know your partner quite well. Another day's background might have been to give me a reason for her silence and communication during her following meetup without disturbance, without her needing to reply or being callable. Reconstructed timing told me later after her confession that they met. Declarations of love, she repeatedly said during the last month she did choose me, and many more deep declarations of commitments toward our relationship and future. But I need to get to the ground, to realize she was someone who wasn't ultimately choosing me. Words and actions are not the same. In the end, actions are louder than words. She did choose to open her heart and legs. I can't and I won't trust her words anymore. Dreams were modified. We had plans for our family and talked and planned and dreamed about it from time to time. I remember late in that month we talked once again about and one of our blueprints for our future and living together was slightly modified. Small details were added. Not much, but now in the retrospective I realize it was about to include a job for the other guy. It makes sense and his job matches and coincidence is unlikely because of the timely match of these extras. And then in that future, if I would have not been around all the time, then they. I don't need to explain my thoughts further, do I? What a plan. Dream for her, for them. I would call it a nightmare of planned and ongoing betrayal. And she sold it to me as our future. On the day of confession she offered that in case I break up with her, we could still stay friends or keep in friendly contact like before and that I still could visit her in the future, even if I would be together with a new partner. In hindsight, I am thinking now this, added to the modified dream, might have been a hint to her wanting something open. One of her relatives tried to split us all the time, telling her stories about me and my race, and putting thingies into her ear and into her heart. She kept visiting and listening to that relative. Every time after, I catched her tears and needed to defend myself from the things that were told to her. He not stay with you, he not love you real, he only want to sex you, you can have other, use protection with him, you are too simple for him. Just a small selection. Once she kept strong, chose on my side, even blocked her and made pro-us statements. That commitment felt good. But she kept returning to that relative's social circle and poisoned influence, again and again later on. Hacking, out of an everyday situation she said something to me in a disrespectful way, commanding voice, rude. I rejected friendly but firm. She anger erupted. Argument about. You cannot treat me like that, I'm not a kid. Her, if you don't like it, you can leave. This, and 2 more incidents within a few days being close, being not LD. My reserve was used up. I fell silent for a moment, took it as a fateful development, double-checked by double overthinking about insisting on respect and if it would be worth it. Didn't want to be degraded to be submissive, thanked innerly about the good times we had together and began to pack my things to leave. First she let me pack, playing ignoring me, maybe testing if I would cancel it. Then her apologies kicked in and in a theatrical way she begged me to stay and to forgive her and hold on my leg, soft blocking my way to the door and so on. I gave in, stayed and explained about what I won't accept regarding mutual respect. Business trip. During my stay I left for a business trip for 2 days. But during my absence we exchanged lots of messages, some calls, selfies, as usual. After returning I asked openly and friendly, how was yesterday and last evening, gone somewhere, dinner/friend/supermarket? No. I asked several times and also hinted to her that I knew she was not at home, in a way that would have made it very easy for her to admit whatever/wherever, it was not a confrontation. She insisted on being home that night. But she wasn't. A neighbor I rarely meet or talk with confirmed to me, not at home. Where has she been? I didn't ask again and I don't know until now. Somewhere. And she slept there too. My evolving gut feeling didn't fire up more than about the obvious unknown whereabout that night, not a smallest bit about a night of love or fling. Remains mystery. But who knows how good she got at hiding and lying. Think positive and expect the worst. She sent me bears regularly, but in retrospect I remember my gut feeling telling me on one from that month, her outer crap looked well supplied with blood, excited. Either she ma ed, or yes, they had. And she took that photo shortly after and sent it to me. Confirmed in hindsight. Abort? How about an abort? She is pro-life. I knew, and I am too. We undoubtedly wanted kids. Maybe that's not clever, but that's clever for the upcoming existence of a new life, someone discovering their existence in this earth. However, once she threatened me about them jumping off the building as an escape. She never opened the topic to abort, and I didn't either. Again, her choice, and zero pressure from my side. Resume: the damage has been done, the seed has been planted. There is no way to turn back time. There is no way to unbreak the trust and dreams. It is not possible to undo or un-F. There are some gaps in my story, sorry about that. It would be just too much and too detailed plus personal. Sometimes I think I would be better off if I could remember just half of what my senses captured and my brain remembers. That would reduce hurt and headache to less than half. Some gaps may contain things I did not do well as well, but I know these, can live well with them, and I can assure they are not massive. Roller coaster is still running again from time to time. I can't deny it, even if it would sound more manly to state how much I don't care and that I never have a thought again. Example: seeing a toddler, even in a movie, can trigger it in me. My thoughts about what happened to me and her are extensive. I am reflecting on my side, her side and his side. Additionally, my thoughts are also trying to figure the far future, the far outcome, far like years, what might happen and how it might develop much later. Again, all sides, 4 main actors and add friends and family and future partners. Thanks for listening to my story and my vent. I didn't mean to type that much, but my thoughts and memories yelled to get out of me. Seeking advice on how to proceed, history and future. Feedback, comments and enlightenments are welcome too.